on the garment it has darts. So you'll mark the front dart. There are 2 notches, and there's an end on the pattern where you have a punch hole. So that is your dart end. Now on the other side, same thing. There's your notches, and I'm going to just go ahead and give myself a pin where the dart's going to end because I haven't marked it quite yet. So we want them to be the same length. So this is my pin right here. And you sew from the hem up. Together and go to that point. And then when you get to that point, I always backstitch within my dart. You can tie them off if you wish. And those are the front darts. Now, there are also darts in the back, but they're not marked here yet. So make sure you mark them and do the same thing that I just did with the sewing, okay? On my packet, I'm going to go ahead and stitch this down now. So I have pressed in the facing, the length. I've pressed over 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm folding this on the notch. I've already put the hem in on this one. I haven't done it on the other side, but you can go ahead now and top stitch this into place. If you prefer to work on the inside, you can do that too and get close to the edge. I can feel that ridge, so I'm going to just go ahead and line it up. And it's basically at 1 inch on this machine. If I follow the 1 inch mark, it should be good. And then you'll do the same thing on the other side. And repeat to the other side, okay? Then I have pressed in the hem for a clean finish. If you have a wiggly fabric, overlock this edge and then press it up just once. If your fabric is fairly stable, then go ahead and do it this way. I'm not going to put the hem in quite yet because I haven't joined my seams yet, but that can be done later. Also, a little trick if you haven't learned it, if you're like here and you need to poke this out, you can take a pin and kind of help yourself poke some of the extra out, okay? All right, so collar, I showed you on the overhead before, but again, just to review for those students that need to, 1/4 inch. Make sure that when you do this, you leave the smaller side unstitched. Okay, sometimes students accidentally will reverse that, so make sure it's the long side that's stitched 1/4 of an inch. Fusing and turn it. And if you want a top stitch on your shirt, this is a good time to do it. If you want a clean finish, you can just press it before this next step. One of the things, I don't know if I mentioned it, but when my operators are sewing, they rarely get up to press. They press once or twice as they go, but they'll use their fingers, or they'll use just the sewing itself to secure things, and they press rarely as they go. It's important in certain cases, but to save time, they do other things. So if you feel better pressing, you get up and press. And so now I'm going to go ahead and take this out just a little further. I'm going to go ahead and top stitch. There's always a little bit of a debate as to whether the fusing goes on the bottom collar or the top collar. I like it on the bottom. I don't know what you've been taught, but I like it on the bottom because sometimes the fusing will wrinkle the material, and if it's on the bottom, you don't get that. So that's just my personal preference. So I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this one now. And if you want just to secure the fabric, this is an extra step, but you can do a stay stitch here just to keep it from rolling. So I'm going to do that right now. Very close to the edge. And in high-end products, the under collar is usually cut slightly smaller, but most of the time we just have it, because we use a lot of cotton, we just use the fusing and it shrinks it, so we don't need to cut the pattern actually smaller in our business. So you can see how, as I'm doing this, oops, I ran out of thread. It is it's rolling to the back naturally, so you don't want to see that seam at the outside. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to reload the thread here in a minute and call you back, but for now, continue. The next step of this is after the collar is prepared, this is the right side, I'm going to place this on top of the fused piece and match up my center notches, and just attach it first before I attach this piece. Okay, and I'll demonstrate that in just a minute.